What I want to go over with City Council this evening, I sent the emails out to those that definitely need to be involved, and I now have your email address, Mr. Hunter. I'm sorry I couldn't attach this information for you. I didn't have your email address. Thank you, Mr. Seibel, for sending it to him, or Crystal. I'm not sure who did. My name is Kathy Downey. I own, along with my husband, 109 East Oak Street down to the tracks, 103 East Oak Street. We also reside across the alley in the back on the end of Cherry Street. What is going on for the past 6 years? We purchased property 109, which is the historical site, Knee-High Bottling Company, Movie Max, most people know it as of today. That 100-year-old building all the way to the tracks, the warehouses. We purchased it from a Mr. Don Cole, who is now deceased, and he retained the 111 East Oak Street pole barn. It's a three-walled structure, metal structure. When he was supposed to get a prescriptive easement for the trespass of not only the attachment of 111 roof that is connected to the historical building, Knee-High Bottling Company, 109 East Oak Street, but also we own an additional 5 feet into the 111 property. Mr. Cole could not sell what he no longer owned. That gives you a little bit of back history of what's been going on there. The present owner has been taxed on our solely owned eastern wall and our 5 feet. The entity's representative also has not received prescriptive easement from us. Cannot be attached. This is a trespass, and the city cannot tax both us for the same property. And in the documents I gave you, there is a sketch from Vanamat, and I'll go ahead and pull this out, Jerry, if you want to see it. It is a property of the 111 and our wall that is included in this, and that entity is being taxed for our wall. Also, I went ahead and highlighted it for you concerning the 10-foot by 38-foot office that used to be there in the wall that was removed, that initially started all the damage to our property. 109, two-story building. This is our wall. We own it. It is not a common wall. It was attached by Mr. Cole. He was supposed to remove it. We started experiencing damage, which started here as a break. We lost a garage door. We couldn't figure out what was going on. We hired an engineer back then to tell us what was going on. I put that original engineer's report concerning the property and the damage that the 111 pole barn was causing since the wall was removed inside that building. So I have attached that for you. The previous city code official and previous interim city manager has been aware of the continued destruction of the masonry buildings which we own, especially the 100-year-old historical building, Knee-High Bottling Company. We've been trying to save that building at all costs. We've lost it. There is in your document, you're going to find a 1991 survey done by Mr. Don Cole when he owned 111 through 105 East Oak Street properties. It does not show a structure on the 111 East Oak Street lot. Yet, on February 15th, 1983, City Code outlines the definition of a non-conforming structure. 111 structure fits all areas of a non-conforming structure. I believe a search of the city's tax records for this structure would give a date to when it was actually constructed. We have had a hard time finding out when that lean-to was, Mr. Cole attached it to the Knee-High Bottling. But I believe that's where you'll find that information. The city's officials' discriminative acts and non-action since 2013 to present has cost the city itself an historic masonry building. James, Ernie, my husband, and I, our buildings from 109 through 103 East Oak Street. Our plans to renovate the property to bring in light manufacturing, employment, etc. Once again, bypassing the City of Covington's building codes, which we are expected to obey, and you'll find a letter from Mr. Eric Tyree concerning the codes and what we could and could not do, including the 30-foot setback up against residential that we had to maintain, and that it's in there, that letter's there. We have to obey those rules. The present 111 owner is being privileged to understand to build a new wall. He has no wall, so he's going to build a new wall after he detaches from our property a new roof on a non-conforming building. Yet we have to abide by codes. He's going to be allowed to do this under the state's codes of repair and maintenance without a public hearing on this issue. No zoning, no public hearing. I came the day that we requested our building be condemned by the city. Mr. Crowder, absolutely amazing, came right up toward it. I gave him my book, I've got it. I understand he spoke with the city engineer, he spoke with the city attorney. We were completely transparent. Any copies that the city needed concerning our issues from the moment we bought that property to when we came to the city and asked them to please condemn it. We're done. We've lost it all. He did that. That afternoon, on the day that he gave us a week to clean out our building, we did. We have a 53-foot semi-truck trailer on the property beside our residential where we stored everything. Myself, my husband, and a couple of volunteers came and helped us. Then we're told at the day they placarded it, I get a phone call, that we're allowed to enter, come and go as the building as long as we notify the city. We did our part. We played by the rules. We're done. We're out of there. I came and gave the actual city codes, numbered what was going on to Mr. Crowder. And then that's when I got the call later from Jennifer Kales concerning what was going to take place, that, you know, we can come and go if we notify that they're going to do it under repairs and maintenance for the properties and so on. Very upsetting to me, to say the least. Once again, bypassing city codes, we are expected to obey. You can see the email from 2016, and I did include those private emails between me and the present owner of 111 when this first started happening, where I tried to get the owner to do just what the city is allowing him to do today. I was willing to do that at the time to save our properties in that knee-high bottling. This was before the complete destruction of our masonry buildings. So I was asked to just get along. After 6 years, no. I'm long past just getting along. And I want to speak to you on this. If you look, you'll find, and this is before your time, Ms. Onitis, Mr. Dresser was able to solve a water issue near Casey Field by rerouting the water through a new pipe to the river. Granted, he wasn't up against the railroad switch. The water and the infrastructure issues you have inherited on East Oak Street, Cherry, I personally believe it's an environmental nightmare, not only for the city, but also for CSX, being the infrastructure failure is under the switch tracks. Unless I'm misunderstanding, what you're working on, Ms. Onitis, is the water lines that run along at the end. The back flooding is coming from the pipes underneath the tracks. They're full of gravel, they're full of debris. It is a nightmare. The water cannot shoot as originally intended to the river, and I recognize this. It's a nightmare. The water can no longer flow freely under the tracks to the river as originally designed to. Rerouting, if possible, may be something for the city's engineer to consider. Can we reroute this water? Is there anywhere in the city that we can do that? So if you would look in, I would appreciate that. We, James and I, my husband, will not be able to construct a metal warehouse. We've lost our masonry building. I added into your documents our plans for that property, the renovations and that, to do that manufacturing company there with those plans. It was a $2.1 million investment. That masonry building was a big part of this money. We've lost it. Now, we can put up a metal warehouse to replace the loss of our masonry buildings until the water is remedied. We can't do anything. We don't even have a parking lot. There's nothing we can do until this water issue's taken care of. So it's gotten to that point now. I just don't know how to go forward from this point. Now, Mr. Tyree, previous code enforcement building inspector for the city of Covington, refused to accept documents from James, my husband, concerning this matter. But he didn't mind carrying messages from the attached property owner to me, which was an offer for us to purchase the 111 property for the sum of $25,000, which he had paid. Mr. Tyree stating it was good business. For who? The city has lost this building now. We've lost it. How is this good business? It isn't. We have lost our M1 commercial properties. Since 2016 through 2017, we have not been able to use it, yet we're expected to pay taxes. We have done so twice a year and timely until the second half tax, which was due last Sunday, and no, I have not paid it. I cannot understand the city knowing these issues for the past 6 years of the water damage, of everything that's going on this property, and then telling a citizen, well, we do our tax assessment, you know, in such and such month, you're going to have to go and appeal. You know these issues are there. Mr. Douglas just spoke of it. He's replaced 2 water heaters. We can't build there. The property is gone. If the council cannot make a decision on whether to give the citizens in that area some relief on their taxes, knowing that the situation's going, then I'd be really concerned about this body. During the COVID, we were able to, governments were able to push through relief to many people that were suffering. We were suffering over the water issues. We're suffering, and it needs to be handled. The city attorney, is he still here, or did he leave? That would be something I would definitely, as your citizen, Mr. Polstervis, ask you to look into. Okay, please.
Can you look into why we can't make a decision on a tax assessment?
I will, sir.
With the known infrastructure issues. Ms. Onitis, as historical masonry buildings are collapsing throughout the city, not just the downtown area, I know it isn't you. You and Mr. Crowder are the new kids trying to clean up the mess you have inherited. I also know that myself and others have been mocked and suffered attempts to destroy our reputations and our characters. We are asking once again, publicly now, for a new tax assessment and to be relieved of the present tax obligations until the properties are restored and available for use again. This council, during regular meeting, invokes through prayer Christ into its meetings. This evening, many people have went into prayer to help me speak with clarity and to shine a light on the issues I bring forth to this council. As we have been taught as Christians, the Antichrist steals, kills, and destroys through his many merchandising. Since 2013, James and I have endured so much. When you think back over the past 6 years, that included me and James, I want each of you, to ask yourselves, who do you serve?
Just real quick before you leave. Go ahead, Kathy.
Ms. Downey, I will say that, so I know you highlighted several water line issues as far as drainage pipes and other things. One thing that the Public Works, our new Public Works Director, as our city engineer, and working with several of our annual engineering contractors, is working to identify areas, because as you know, ARPA, the federal relief dollars, the newest round, part of the eligible use of that is for infrastructure improvements, namely the below ground ones. So we're working on trying to identify areas where we can look at water line replacement and renewal, and same thing with sewer replacement and renewal. So hopefully, I will ask him to look at those areas, and as you had suggested, even if the lines could be rerouted or redirected, you know, because it is a immense challenge working with CSX.
Not just working with CSX, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the pipes that go, we're dealing with, it's a dam now.
Yes.
And that's what you're up against.
And it's almost more costly to fix that than
exactly.
it is to readdress and redirect.
And you're on the switch of the CSX. And it is an environmental nightmare going underground there. I definitely recognize it. I would not want to be in your shoes. I truly wouldn't. To me, watching, reading, and staying, just through Facebook notifications, abreast of what's going on in the work that you yourself and this council and have done as far as infrastructure with our underground water is amazing. Y'all have really, really stepped out and above. I am very impressed. And how you've come up with the money to do it and to start eliminating some of the problems. What we're dealing with is not as much underground. I noticed the toilets flush better since you were there 2 years ago. What we're dealing with is it's an issue.
I've been at my house twice now, so
Yeah.
no one's immune.
It is an issue, and it's huge. But the rerouting of the water, if there's any way, I've drove and drove and drove. I don't even know how. Couldn't suggest. The city engineer would have to definitely work on that. But if we can get that water to the river, we got an issue.
We do, and it's one of the things that has impacted us with DEQ as a city as well. We've struggled with things with our wastewater and just our capacity, and part of it is just where we're situated, as Mr. Douglas and you've alluded to. When it rains, we're good until it rains, and then we just can't keep up.
No, it
We as a
backflows.
city as a whole can't keep up, and there's pockets that are very much directly impacted right away. And part of that is our underground infrastructure. There's a lot of areas in the city that still have terracotta pipes, which are actually made out of clay. So, you get plants growing long enough, they cut into those.
Well, even once you clean up all the underground pipe, as long as the water that's still coming down cannot divert underneath those tracks, you're still going to have backflooding in that area.
Yes.
In that area.
We'll definitely look at that, and council has asked for project recommendations and other things and what we plan to use for ARPA breakouts. And one of the things they do want to address is our continual backup and I&I issues. It's one of those things that it impacts everyone.
Thank you. Also, please look at these codes and what's going on 111, 109. We need to even the playing field for all citizens. One can't lose a $2.1 million investment and the other one walk away. It's not fair. And it's not right. And it hasn't been hidden. But this is the first time I've come to council in public to speak openly about these matters. Thank you.